So if we look at what he's described, nice hole on the left side near top. So if we look on the left side over here, there's a nice big fat hole up in here. What we really want to kind of look for, though, is what's going on when the water comes into this section. Notice it's neck down narrow here. That means the water velocity will increase. Increase in velocity means the gold will get moved. Notice how everything's scoured pretty clean along in here. There's not much rocks and cobbles on the edges. That's because when the water comes through here and flood, it's probably going to come up almost to the railroad tracks and up this wall quite a ways. As it does, it's going to erode and cut anything that is in its way, and it's going to blow it right out of this hole. As it widens up, the water velocity will decrease. Here's the deal. As water velocity decreases, coming down this section, so the water's coming along faster, and then it goes slower, slower, slower. At some point, the water's going to drop below the amount of frictional force that's necessary to move a particular size of gold. Now, I say particular size because the smaller the piece of gold, the less frictional force is required to move it, and including flour gold, which really requires almost no force at all. So what we're looking for here is basically a situation where large gold will drop out earlier up in this section, and typically will drop out in the center. And that's because of some other effects that I bring up in Gold in a Storm, and I'm going to have it in the course as well, having to do with helical flow. But as water turns a bend, even as it moves down the center, when it gets moving fast, there's a certain kind of flow property that's a little unusual that will tend to sweep the gold down into the center line on a straight section, and it'll move to the inside edge of a curve when it's bending around the corner, the inside edge being this area over here. Now, several people have observed something about that, so let's continue to read on. Let's see. It's a pay streak. They've been carved for thousands of years. Well, pay streaks and carving stream beds are two different things. I think, David, what you're getting at here is really, this canyon has been carved for thousands of years, and any gold that's in anything near it in terms of sources being up on these cliffs would be flushed into this riverbed, and then pay streaks would form along the bottom based on the flooding actions of the water. And yes, that takes place over thousands of years, sometimes, sometimes longer than that. And we'll leave it at that. The reality is it can vary based on the kind of flooding and the area you're in. For right now, you can see some effects of flooding in these boulder-strewn regions, which are likely because of the color of the boulders being the same as these side walls. My guess is that these boulders are actually local. In other words, they've dropped off these cliffs when the erosional effects on the bottom here got too strong and weakened the underlying layers of rock. Once that happens, the boulders are going to come downhill, and when they do, it's going to be an avalanche. So you don't want to be near unstable boulders. They can come down, especially in flood season. Right now, you can see these big boulders on the bottom, and there were some comments made about them. We'll get to that in a second.